Hey everybody, this is Tao at the Forge, and I am still recovering from my sickness. This is week 7, and it's been pretty awful. I haven't been able to produce much content because of the sickness, and like usually when I start talking, I start coughing like crazy, so I may have to interrupt this video a lot. Anyways, I decided to try and do something a little bit different. I needed some cards for my cube, a tribal cube that that I had previously put together, and I want to make some major changes to. I'll put a link to it in the description. So what I thought I'd do is I needed some tribal cubes like vampires and knights and stuff like that, and so I decided to go and pick up some Ixalan cards, and rather than just pick up the singles, which I should do, which is what you should do, I decided to do some pack openings, and then on top of the pack openings, what I thought I might do is go through some examples of sealed constructed, because like pack openings are great and everything, but maybe just I'll use this as an opportunity to talk about some things with sealed constructed. So let's get going. So I've opened up the packs here, and typically a sealed pool for rivals is 4 rivals and 2 Ixalan packs. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do when you get to sealed, well, before you get to sealed, there's some things you should do, like you should know the cards and stuff like that. But first thing you do when you have your time is you're going to get your sealed pack, and you're going to have to open them and sort them by color. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Alright, so now, some people like to just open them all first and see what they get. I'm going to just try and open them and sort them by color as soon as I get them. Okay, so after I've opened all my packs, I've counted out the cards, and if I haven't counted wrong, I have 14 red, 12 green, 16 white, 14 blue, 16 black, and 6 multicolored. Right now, the number of cards that you get for each color doesn't necessarily stop you from playing those cards. So for instance, like I have only 12 green cards, but that doesn't mean I can't play green. It just means that I won't have a lot of green cards to play, right? If I choose that color. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go through the cards, and I'm going to look at them and like color by color and see what's good and what's not, right? So some of the cards are going to be really good cards, some of them are not. Like for instance, Fanatical Firebrand is actually really good. Right, a 1/1 with haste, right, can get it on turn 1 and attack, and then you can also sacrifice it anytime to deal 1 damage. So like that's actually, you know, pretty decent. This guy will often get in for like 2 or 3 damage before he's taken out of the game. You know, late game not so great, but you know, anyways, but you can't build around one card. So what we're going to do is look at each color individually and see what's good, what can help us. Do we have like anything that can just automatically win us the game pretty much, like a card where if you get that down, you're going to win the game, right? And see like what colors have good strength, which ones have good consistency, and so on and so forth, right? So I'll be back. So when we're looking at our cards, we're looking at using the b.r.e.a.d priority. Now, b.r.e.a.d is an acronym used in draft, but it's actually really relevant for sealed and also even for regular draft or regular deck construction. So what b.r.e.a.d is it's an acronym that stands for bombs, and these are the cards that are going to win you the game if you can get them down. Removal, which is cards to remove your opponent's bombs, because your opponents are going to have bombs or other things that are going to threaten you. E is for evasion, right? So creatures that are unblockable or have flying or something like that, ways of getting around your opponent. A is for aggro, right? So those are aggressive creatures that are just very aggressive and really good, on curve or ahead of the curve. And then D is dirt, right? Or duds. Now, the D one is ones that we want to not have in the deck. So, for instance, like basically anything higher than like 7 or 8 mana, like 7 mana or higher is generally considered to be dirt. You're probably not going to get to that stage unless you have some serious mana ramp. It's going to be really difficult to get those things out unless you have like some things to make them cheaper. Other things would be like, a 2/2 for 6 or, stuff like that are just terrible cards that aren't worth playing. Now, there's one other thing in all of this. What we're also looking for is synergy. So sometimes you can get away with making just a good stuff deck where you just choose like just good stuff to work together. But we're also looking to see if there's any synergy between the cards. So cards that work well together. And in Ixalan, there is a lot of tribal synergies. So we're going to look to see if we can maybe assemble enough of a tribe to maybe get that. And failing that, we'll see if we can maybe combine tribes that can still work together well. I'm going to start off here with the colorless cards. All right, so I've got a Primal Amulet. Let's see if we can see this card here better. All right, so it's a 4-mana card. It says instants and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an instance or sorcery spell, you put a charge counter on Primal Amulet. Then if there are 4 or more charge counters, you may remove those counters and transform it. All right, so you transform it. It becomes Primal Wellspring. And add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. When that mana is cast an instance or a sorcery spell, copy that spell. Okay, so that's actually a very good card if I can get it working. And if I play this, you can probably it's going to go into like a blue-red type deck. All right, so probably something like that. Let's take a look at Hierophant's Chalice. When Hierophant's Chalice enters the battlefield, target opponent. Let's see. Target opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life, and then you add 1. It's some mana acceleration. So that's just okay, But if it's like a decent pick, or if I don't have a spot, this could go in. Now the reason why I look at the artifacts first is these can fit into any deck, right? Because they're colorless, so they can go anywhere. And it will give me an idea of something that give me a clue about what I might be able to do with the cards. So like for instance, the fact that I have Primal Amulet is going to tell me that maybe it's a good idea to go with an Izzet color build. All right, and the colors for Izzet are pretty good. So 16 or 14 blue, 14 red. Not the greatest, not the biggest ones, but like black white is 16-16, so there's a little more in the card pool there. But at least I'll have an idea to see if that's actually something that that I should look at, or like when I'm considering those cards. So let's go look over at green. All right, we're back looking at green, and as you can see, what I've done is I've arranged them according to their converted mana cost. And what I'm looking for is primarily, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm primarily looking in here. All right, because the 3 and 4 slot is basically where most of your decks can be played out, right? Like this stuff here is usually like good early stuff, but it's not really threatening enough to last for the whole game. The stuff over here is like your finishing win conditions, like the 5-6, but it's probably like there's a good chance that if like you don't have a good set in here, that you're not going to be able to last long enough in the game before like to get this stuff out, to get the 5-6 out. So you need to have a decent amount of 4 or 5 things, and you also have to have a good amount of creatures. Like remember, we're building a 40 card deck, So we're probably gonna have 16 creatures and like 8. A good guideline is 16 creatures and 8 of every other card. So like if we look here, what do we really have? We got like a Jade Bearer. So that can put a counter on another target merfolk. So if I play this, I have to be playing merfolk. Well, do I have other merfolk? No, that's a human shaman. At least I got 2 of them there. That's a little bit of consistency. I've got a merfolk here, a merfolk scout, and a human knight, right? And then 2 dinosaurs down here. All right, so that Jade Bearer is, when we're just considering green, well, to put it any other way, like the best way is just useless. Right, like that's not going to do anything for me unless I have a ton of merfolk somewhere else. All right, so I got to look in like blue and stuff like that. And maybe I've got a ton of merfolk there, right? But if you look at it, I barely have any creatures. I've got Jungleborn Pioneer, Knight of the Stampede, Overgrown Armosaur, Colossal Dreadmaw. Now, Colossal Dreadmaw is pretty good, and if I can get it out, that's going to be a huge threat in the game. But I don't really feel like I can play green. Right, this is not looking that good, mainly because I don't have a lot of creatures, and green generally has the best creatures, right? So, like all the rest of this is just like, you know, like naturalize, which is good for destroying artifacts and enchantments. Okay, 2 human shamans that are 2/2s for 2, and later on can pump some creatures, so it's okay. A Savage Stomp, which is essentially removal. Crushing Canopy, which is removal. Hunt the Weak, which is removal, but the thing with Savage Stomp and Hunt the Weak is that they don't work for removal if you don't have good creatures, because they're basically forcing you to fight your creatures. So green is my lowest card pool number at 12. I don't feel like I can play green, right? But anyways, it's something to keep in mind. You don't want to like make your judgments early on. It still could be possible I could play green or splash green, right? Depending on my dual colors, my dual lands. I did get a dual land. Where is it here? A Foul Orchard, right? So it's possible I could splash green with Foul Orchard. I also have an Evolving Wilds, which would help me to hunt for a land that I need. You know, but still, my initial impression is that green is probably not going to be the color I play. All right, so okay, anyways, I'm going to move on. Let's take a look at our next smallest pools, which are going to be red and then blue. I'm back with my red pool here, sorted by converted mana cost. And remember I said that looking at Primal Amulet, I was potentially looking for like doing an Izzet build with a lot of instants and sorceries. Right? So looking at this though, there's not a lot of instants and sorceries. So usually red's one that has a lot of them in there, so it's still possible. But with red, if I play red, I won't be playing that card, probably. But red actually looks pretty good, right? So if we look, we got actually a ton of creatures. I mentioned Fanatical Firebrand, which is actually a pretty good creature to start with. And then we have Mutiny, so 1 mana sorcery. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature that player controls. So a little bit of removal, potentially. We have Sun-Collared Raptors, 2 of them. So a 2 mana 1/2 with Trample, but later on you can give it +3/+0 till end of turn for 3 mana. So it's possible that you could use this to just swing in and get some trample damage later, possibly. Buccaneer's Bravado is an instant, so you can give your creature +1/+0 and gains first strike. Right, so a nice little combat trick there. And if we're playing pirates, you can give it double strike. Right, so now almost. I don't really have any pirates in here. These are almost all dinosaurs. So I probably, right now I'm thinking I'm not playing pirates, but you know, I have to wait to see the other colors. Fanatical Firebrand obviously is a pirate, but I'm not gonna, you know, go just on one. Buccaneer's Bravado, okay, we just talked about, and Tilonali's Crown. Now, this one's an interesting card. So it's an enchantment, and it says when Tilonali's Crown enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to the enchanted creature. And then enchanted creature gets +3/+0 and has trample. Okay, but if you look at, that's going to be actually pretty important with the other dinosaurs. Okay, so we got this Frilled Death Spitter. It's a 3/2 for 3, which is okay. Whenever it is dealt damage, it deals 2 damage to target opponent. Right, so what we could do is put this enchantment onto this frilled Death Spitter, and then it does 2 damage to our opponent right away, and then it becomes a 6/2, right? And it has trample, right? And then Bombard deals 4 damage to target creature, so a little bit more removal. So we got a few things going on with red. Okay, Thrash of Raptors. As long as you control another dinosaur, Thrash of Raptor gets +2/+0. We'll probably be playing Dinosaur Tribal if we play red, so we probably will. So this would be a 5/3 for 4 with trample, right? And then Brazen Freebooter, there's a pirate. Okay, and then all it does is create a treasure when it comes into the battlefield, and it's a 3/3 for 4, right? Needletooth Raptor is a 4-mana 2/2 with Enrage, and when it's dealt damage, it deals 5 damage to target creature and opponent controls. So, you know, another decent card that you can pump up later. So, and then Sun-Crowned Hunters, I got a pair of them, which is nice because that gives us a little more consistency with our curve. And that's a 6-mana 5/4. And whenever Sun-Crowned Hunters is dealt damage, it deals 3 damage to target opponent, right? So this is looking okay. If I go with dinosaurs, I would probably include the Fanatical Firebrand anyways, even though it's not really in the theme of the deck, just because it's just such a good card. But we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 creatures. So half of our creatures could come from red. Now, if I play red, then I'm going to be playing dinosaurs probably, because, well, like, what else would I be playing? I'm not going to play red just for Buccaneers Bravado. Probably not, anyways. So, so right now I'm thinking, if I had to make a choice between green and red, obviously I would choose red because I've got way more creatures, better creatures, and I have a little bit of synergy of some stuff that I can do. All right, so, but again, it's important to keep an open mind, not to get set on an idea. Because some people will be like, okay, I'm playing dinosaurs. And then later on, like, we still haven't even gone through the other 3 colors yet. So, like, the other 3 colors might be all great for pirates or all great for vampires. So we're going to hold off and see. But red is actually pretty strong for dinosaurs. And I'm back with blue. And as you can see, blue is basically has no creatures in it. Right, so, or not a lot. So I've got Riverwise Augur, a 2/2 for 4. When it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards on. So basically, put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library. Headwater Sentries, which is a vanilla 2/5 for 4. A Sailor of Means, which is a 1/4. It gives you a treasure token. So 3 mana 1/4. What else? A River Sneak, so 2 mana 1/1 that can't be blocked. And whenever another merfolk enters the battlefield, now I don't have a lot of merfolk. Like, there were none in, basically almost nothing in green. There's not a lot in blue. So, like, merfolk are kind of out. So that's, like, it's nice that it's unblockable, but whatever. And a Shorekeeper, which is a 0/3 trilobite for 1. Right? Now, the good thing that blue has is it has a lot of, like, balanced return to hand type stuff. Right? So, like, blue has a lot of control removal, and it's all in the 1 and 2 mana area, so it could be okay, especially as a splash color. But right now, I would not. Blue is something I'm kind of looking away from blue right now, unless I just don't have any other ways of removal, in which case I might include blue. Right? But remember, we need 16 creatures, and if I play red, I've only got 8 there. So I need another color, my second color, to give me at least 8 creatures. And then if I splash a third color, then I could get, you know, something else. So like right now, like, blue doesn't look like it's heavy on creatures, so I'm gonna have to wait and see if there's another color that's strong with that. Right? So, but I do have some good stuff. So Sea Legs is has flash, 1 mana. You can give a creature, a non-pirate creature, -2/-0. Right? Or you can enchant your own creature if it's a pirate and give it +0/+2. It's okay, you know, but very specific. So I'd say, like, you know, that's not the best. It's, you know, it's better than nothing, I guess. Target creature, dive down, target creature you control gets +0/+3 and gains hexproof. That's, again, okay. It's a nice instant. We got, basically, here's where stuff gets a little bit interesting. So we got Expel from Morazga. You can return something to its owner's hand or put it back on top of its library if you have if you have ascended to have the city's blessing. You got Perilous Voyage, basically does the same thing. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. Okay, and you could potentially scry. Now we got double negate, which is nice, right? And then Flood of Recollection, which means that we could use this to return one of our instants or sorceries from the graveyard back to my hand, right? So I could use this to bring back one of my other things, right? So it's okay. So I could bring back a negate or bring back a Perilous Voyage, and you know, this could be decent to kind of just frustrate our opponent by putting stuff on top of their hand and back in their hand. I don't know. It's not looking especially strong to me, but it could be just okay. Like I said, I'm going to keep an open mind about it. Secrets of the Golden City, 3 mana, draw 2 cards. If you have the City's Blessing, draw 3 cards, and that's it. So blue looks pretty weak, except for this section here. The 2 mana section is pretty good, but I don't think it's strong enough to stand on its own. And if I went blue-red right now, then I wouldn't have enough creatures. So we'll have to see. Like, this is... So I got to keep in mind, red is strong for creatures, has some really good synergy in it. Blue is strong for, you know, removal, basically, control and removal, but only in the 2 mana slot, really. So we'll have to see what other colors we're going to go. So next we're going to go hit up black and see what they got. All right, we're back with black, and black actually looks pretty good. Now, I said earlier that I mainly want everything to be in the 3-4 slot, but this one's mainly in 2-3. So it's not really that great. It doesn't really have a lot of bombs, but it does have some good creatures, and it does have some good synergy. Now, mostly it's in the vampires. So let's take a look. We got Vicious Conquistador, a 1 mana 1/2. And whenever it attacks, each opponent loses 1 life. So this is going to get in for 1 at least. If you can drop it on turn 1, it's likely that you can get in for 1 or 2 before you lose it. But I mean, still, that's pretty good. You know, 1 mana 1/2 is pretty good. You got Grasping Scoundrel. It gets +1/+0 as long as it's attacking. So another a 1 mana 2/1. So it's not a vampire, but still a decent creature, right? So getting into the 2 mana. We got Costly Plunder. So as an additional cost to cast it, sacrifice an artifact or creature, and then you draw 2 cards. So like you might play like one of these guys, and then like later on, when like they're not able to attack anymore, you could attack with, for instance, with Vicious Conquistador, right? Attack into an opponent, they lose 1 life. Then you could, if they ever choose to block it, then you Costly Plunder, and then you just sacrifice and draw 2 cards as an instant. So that could be actually pretty good. And we got Desperate Castaways, a pirate card. So Desperate Castaways can't attack unless you control an artifact. Right now I don't have a lot of ways to make artifacts, so that kind of sucks. Moment of Craving, I've got a pair of them. Okay, target creature gets -2/-2 till end of turn. Now that's nice because the dinosaurs in the set basically say whenever they take damage, then they do whatever, right? But Moment of Craving doesn't do damage to them; it just gives them -2/-2, and then you get 2 life of it. So it's a way of getting rid of some of the smaller dinosaurs. A lot of them are like 4/2s and stuff like that. So you know, it's a way of getting rid of your opponent's stuff and gaining some life. You know, it's some good removal. Now, I really like this card, Dusk Legion Zealot. A 2 mana 1/1, which is just okay, but when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Okay, so basically it's a 2 mana 1/1, which isn't great, but it replaces itself, right? So, and if you're playing all these other cards, especially in the vampires, they have a lot of lifelink stuff, so it's possible that you're just going to get that 1 life back anyways, right? And I've got a pair of those, so I've got some good consistency with it as well. So I like that a lot. Dinosaur Hunter is a pirate, but when Dinosaur Hunter deals damage to a dinosaur, destroy that creature. So, I mean, like that could actually be a really good card. Maybe a sideboard card if we're not playing pirates. Okay, we have in the 3 mana slot, Skymarch Bloodletter, a 3 mana 2/2 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. All right, so that's pretty decent. We have Ruin Raider. Now Ruin Raider is a really decent card, a 3 mana 3/2. At the beginning of your end step, if you attacked with a creature this turn, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Basically, it's like a Dark Confidant. You lose life equal to the card's converted mana cost. But if you have a card like Skymarch Bloodletter, right, moving in, you could go and basically attack into something because it has flying, right? And then basically you attacked with a creature, your creature doesn't die, and then you reveal the top card. Yeah, like, yeah, you take damage equal to the card's converted mana cost, but, you know, that's just like Dark Confidant. So, I mean, this could be a really good card draw engine for you, especially because, like, if we're playing vampires, we would get a lot of lifelink, right? So, it's something to think about. Fathom Fleet Border, 3 mana, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, uses 2 life unless you control another pirate. So, this is pretty much urging us towards a pirate build if we want to play that. We got a Voracious Vampire, 3 mana, 2/2 with Menace, so good evasion, which is nice, right? Which is a 3rd level of bread. Okay, when Voracious Vampire enters the battlefield, target vampire you control gets +1/+1 and gains Menace until end of turn. Right, so basically allows you to pump up another vampire and give them Menace, which means that they can attack and not possibly not get killed. Right, so that's all right. And then a 3 mana, each opponent discards 2 cards. If you control a vampire, each opponent then loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So, I mean, that's actually pretty good too, right? So I like these cards, right? This set, the black set is actually like looking really good. Red is also pretty good, but it doesn't, the thing is neither of them synergize with each other. So hopefully we'll find some stuff in white that can work together there. Alright, we got Fathom Fleet Cutthroat, which is a 4 mana, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. So you can see there's a lot of stuff we can do with this. So anyways, one last card we have is a Spreading Rot. Right, a 5 mana, destroy target land. Its controller loses 2 life. Nah, that's not great. For 5 mana you get to destroy their land, but you know, I'm not jumping for joy for that card. Anyways, okay. But anyways, let's take a look at our last color, white, and see how we do. Alright, so I have finished sorting the white cards, and I forgot to mention the black cards, is that black had 11 creatures, so this is important to remember. So black had 11 creatures, like about 75% of which were vampires, the other were pirates, but it doesn't actually matter because only one of the vampires cards cared about whether your other creatures are vampires, and yet only one pirate card cared if your creatures were pirates. So overall, black has 11 creatures, 9 of which can be played regardless of which tribe you choose, or if you even choose a tribe at all. Remember, like, just because things have tribes in this set doesn't mean you have to play them. Like, you don't have to play just straight up vampires just because they're vampires, right? You could do some vampires and some pirates, or some vampires and some dinosaurs or whatever, right? So anyways, I think what's going to happen here is that white is going to help us determine like what we're going to play. So we're looking at, if we do red has some really great synergy. We're going to be playing with dinosaurs from the red set, and we'll need at least 8 creatures from our other set. We could go red-black, or we could go red-white or black-white. I think blue and green are kind of out, right? And then if we really need some stuff, then we can kind of sideboard in, or we can like splash blue or something like that. I don't think we're going to play green at all, so we might splash blue or splash whatever of the 3 colors we don't choose. So let's take a look anyways. So we got Vampire Zeal in the 1 mana slot. Okay, so target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's a vampire, gains first strike. Okay, so that's pretty nice, but still will work no matter what kind of creatures we have. First strike is nice. Okay, Sky Marcher Aspirant. That's actually a pretty decent card too. A 1 mana 2/1, right, is really good actually. You know, like you can, and it gets flying later on if you have the City's Blessing. So you know, I would be okay with that. And Snubhorn Sentry. Snubhorn Sentry is a 1 mana 0/3. He gets +3/+0 as long as you have the City's Blessing, right? So we'll have to see if we can get the City's Blessing. I don't know if we're going to, because we have like not a lot of ways to make tokens and not a lot of ways to to get like a lot of little creatures or whatever, right? So we'll have to see. Right, so in the 2 mana slot we got Baffling End. When Baffling End enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls with converted mana cost 3 or less. When it leaves the battlefield, target opponent creates a 3/3 green dinosaur. Great. Alright, Cleansing Ray. Choose one, destroy target vampire or destroy target enchantment. Okay, so that's a decent removal, depending on our opponent. A little narrow, but there are some decent enchantments here that we might want to get rid of. And Sphinx's Decree. Each opponent can't cast instant or sorcery spells during that player's next turn. Right, so depends what our opponent's playing, I guess. It seems to kind of narrow again. This seems to be a pretty creature-heavy set, so I don't know if that's necessarily a great card. Okay, let's go. So in the 3-mana slot, we have a 3-mana 2/3 with flying, which is again an evasion creature. So Exultant Sky Marcher. We got Squire's Devotion. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. It has lifelink, and when you cast this, when it enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 vampire creature token. All right. Everdawn Champion. 3-mana 2/2 human soldier. Prevent all combat damage to be dealt to Everdawn Champion. So basically a really great blocker. Okay. And Territorial Hammerskull, so a dinosaur. When Territorial Hammerskull attacks, tap target creature and opponent controls. Well, that's actually alright too. Some more evasion. Okay. In the 4-mana slot, we got a Sanguine Glorifier. So 4-mana 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on another target vampire you control. So this is going to want us to play a Vampire Tribal if we choose this. Okay. Divine Verdict. 4-mana, destroy target attacking or blocking creature. So so there's some more removal. All right. 5-mana slot here we have Sunrise Seeker. It's a 5-mana human skull, 5-mana 3/3 human scout with vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, it explores. This is actually the very first card we have with the explore mechanic, right? All right, that's okay. So it potentially just gives us an extra land, or could become a 5-mana 4/4. Right, we have 5-mana Bright Reprisal, destroy target attacking creature, so more removal, and then draw a card. And 5-mana Suncrested Pterodon, right, which is a 2/5 flyer. Suncrested Pterodon has vigilance as long as you control another dinosaur. So it's funny, this one wants us to play vampires, this one wants us to play dinosaurs. Okay, so if we look at it though, what do we have? We have 2 dinosaurs really. Oh, 3. Okay, with that. And we also have 3 vampires. So it could go either way. Now, what I'm tempted to say is that we probably should go vampires, mainly because we just have so many more cards in black. Right, so with black we had 11 cards, and remember I said we can play almost all of those cards. We can play almost all of those, like even the black creatures, as like the black pirate creatures, as in our deck as well, because they don't care, where if they're dinosaurs or not. And then we just like use the rest of the deck to create removal and stuff like that. So that's what I'm thinking anyways. If you disagree, like tell me what you think in the comments. Like, would you go with dinosaurs? Like obviously merfolk, because we have no merfolk at all. And then this Everdawn Champion could go in there. So there's something we could look at. I think what I would do is I would probably go with the vampires black-white deck and see what we could do there. Okay, and so what I'm going to do also here while I'm doing this is I'm going to look at these cards. Okay, so I already said I'm probably not going to play green, so that guy's out. White, blue, probably not going to play blue. Like these cards, like one of these cards, like unless they're just freaking amazing, are not going to win you the game. All right, so we have red, white. Okay, so if we had chosen dinosaurs, we could have had this guy. Okay, let's just refocus the camera. Okay, so Relentless Raptor. Okay, Vigilance. Okay, and Relentless Raptor attacks or blocks each combat if possible. So 2-mana 3/3 of Vigilance, that's actually pretty good, right? So if we did choose to play red-white, we could get that. Okay, there's Izzet Colors of Storm the Vault. We're probably not going to be playing red-blue. Okay, another green-white card, so like I don't know if this card makes it worth it just to like go into there or not. And then black green Journey to Eternity, right? Yeah, I mean this could be good, but again I don't think I have the card support to play this. Okay, when an enchanted creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control, then return Journey to Eternity to the battlefield transform. So you can enchant one of your creatures. When it dies, well, it's okay, but again I don't know if we have the ability to play any of these cards, right? Like we just don't have the support, and mostly they're in green or blue, except for Relentless Raptor, right? And the problem is if we play Dinosaur Tribal, well I guess we don't have to, but if I go like like red white dinosaurs. Like I have like 8 creatures, so you get like 9, 10, 11, and then I'd need at least 5 more somewhere. Okay, so I have to choose like 5 more dinosaurs or something like that. I don't know. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take all the creatures out. So I'm probably going to, my choices are red, white, or black. That's where I'm going to look. Okay, I'm going to pull the creatures out and see what I can get with them. All right, so I'll be back. So what I've done is I've arranged red and white to show what I would do if I was going to go with this color. Now, black doesn't have any dinosaurs in it, so there's no point in, I guess, like you could go black, red, I guess, but it just doesn't seem like there's any reason to do that. Like if we're going to go with dinosaurs, then might as well just try and like go straight up dinosaurs. Okay, but here we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 creatures. So basically we would have to play all of these, right? So we're playing some mostly vampires, or mostly dinosaurs with some vampire support. Now, we have to remove one of them, probably, because we have one too many creatures, so I'd probably take away this one, Sanguine Glorifier, because it wants to put a +1/+1 counter on a target vampire when it's not likely we control one at the time. So I would take that away. So that would be probably my 16 card base, creature base, if that's what I was going to choose. So this is what I would do if I did black and white creatures. Right, so here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 creatures. So we can afford to get rid of maybe 3 of them, right, if we don't want. Okay, so ones that I would look at, we're mainly playing like just various humans, pirates, and vampires here. Now again, the tribes shouldn't really matter to you that much unless there's specific synergies here, right? But like Snubhorn Sentry is okay, 0 mana, or 1 mana 0/3, so it's not the worst. This one here, Suncrested Pterodon, is a 5 mana 2/5. Okay, so a 5 mana 2/5 that says has vigilance as long as you control another dinosaur, but if I'm playing these colors I probably won't, so that's probably out. Sunrise Seeker is just okay. A 5 mana 4/4 with vigilance is kind of like a Sarah Angel with no flying, but still, that could be okay. Sanguine Glorifier, now there's a ton of vampires in here, so that's okay. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. That's pretty good. Let's see, we have the Rune Raider, which is basically like our Dark Confidant. Okay, so let's see here. Now let's take a look. Territorial Hammerskull. When it attacks, tap target creature an opponent controls. That's actually okay. Everdon Champion is a really good blocker. Prevent all combat damage, so that's good. Let's see, we have a flyer here. So I still need to get rid of 2 cards. Now, see, this is actually a good problem, right? So I'm stuck here now, and there's not a lot of cards that I would just like, I could say like this one just sucks, right? Like they're all actually okay. You know, like none of them, I don't have any real bombs here, which is unfortunate, but I don't really have any bombs in any of the colors. Like no card that's just going to necessarily absolutely win me the game if I can drop it, right? So that's unfortunate, okay? But this is a good consistent creature base. I've got a lot. Remember I said like 3, 4 is like where you want most of your stuff, and I've got a lot of stuff in the 3 slot, okay? So I'd probably look and get rid of some stuff in the 1 and 2 slot. Okay, so let's take a look. Like Snubhorn Sentry is not really on theme, right? Obviously Vicious Conquistador is great. This one's also good. Gets +1/+0 as long as it's attacking. Okay. This one, 1 mana 2/1 with flying if it has City's Blessing, is pretty good. Okay, and this one is 1 mana 3/3 if you have the City's Blessing, so it's not bad. It's just not a vampire or whatever, so I feel like I should take this out, but it's not horrible. Let's see, Desolate Castaways can't attack unless you control an artifact. Well, I don't really have a lot of ways of making artifacts. Like, I don't have a lot of stuff that makes treasures or anything like that, so I'm going to take away Desperate Castaways. Right, I think like a 2 mana 2/3 is pretty good, but it can't attack. right? So I'm gonna be pretty unhappy if I get that, you know, because it's a decent blocker. But I mean, if it can't attack, then that's gonna be a crappy 2-drop. Like, let's say our opponent can't cast anything, that's gonna be the terrible. Like, let's say they're mana screwed or whatever, and they don't get anything on turn 2, right? Like, if you can't attack with that on turn 3, then you're gonna be really disappointed. So I think I'm gonna take that out. Dust Legion Zealot's pretty good, right? So 2 mana 1/1 that enters the battlefield, you draw a card, so basically it just replaces itself. Okay, Dinosaur Hunter is pretty good, but kind of narrow because but if your opponent's playing any dinosaurs, then that's going to be pretty sweet. So what I'd say is that it's probably between these two. Now all these cards are pretty good over here. Like this one's a 3 mana 3/3, you lose 2 life, but I've got a few life linkers, I believe. Yeah, a lot of ways of gaining life, so that's not going to be necessarily the end of the world, I hope. Okay, so I don't want to get rid of my higher curve stuff, right? Because like you don't want to keep necessarily low curve stuff because it's just not that strong. So what I would say is it's either Snubhorn Sentry that's got to go or Dinosaur Hunter. And like although they're both good creatures, like pretty good, I would say that I would get rid of the Snubhorn Sentry. Right now, the reason why is because when we're looking at this, we're looking for bombs and then removal, and this is at least a potential source of removal. Like neither of them are bombs, but this is at least a potential source of removal. Well, this is just a good blocker, right? So I would rather have this guy. Right, there's my 3 cards gone. Okay, so then I have this as my creature, 16 card creature base. Now I could put some creatures back in depending on what my other cards look like. Okay, so let's see, let's just recount to make sure I got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So after considering either white-black or red-white, I decided to go with red-white. And I was kind of leaning to white-black a little bit, but they're both okay. Like you could build it either way, but I think that the red-white cards are a little more aggressive. And I think they want to come out a little faster. And there are some cool things that we can do with them. Like they've got a lot of vigilance, a lot of trample, and stuff like that. So I think this is what I would do for my creatures. So the next thing to do is to look at the sorceries and instants and basically the support cards. Now I do have 3, 6, 10, 14, 15, 16 creatures here. So, and that's kind of where I want to be around, and I could throw other creatures in here if I want, but I'm going to do that first and then see if there's any support spells that might work for me. So mainly I'm going to be looking at things like combat tricks. So, because like a lot of the dinosaurs they have enrage. So ways to basically force my opponent to block them and then like pump them up. Like so opponent thinks that they're gonna kill the creature and then we pump it up at the last moment, or ways for it to kind of like just to prevent them from being destroyed or whatever. So anyways, let's take a look at what red and white has for support. So this is what we have for our support spells that we can cast. Now we can get 8 of them, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them. So if we're going to take 8 support spells, we need to get rid of 5. Now remember what I said is that we need to focus on things that are going to be aggressive and forms of removal. All right, so that's what we're going to really need to look at and see. Like none of these are horrible, but you know, we'll see what can actually help us remove threats and look at for combat tricks. So this one, Mutiny, kind of strikes my eye. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature that player controls. So basically you can force one creature to fight another creature. That could be a very strong form of removal. Basically get one of his creatures to fight another one. So I think I'm going to go with that. Vampire Zeal. Says target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's a vampire, it gains first strike. So it's a 1 mana. We're not really having very many vampires. I think we have like 1 or something like that. But for 1 mana, being able to give our creature +2/+2 to end of turn is pretty decent. So I'm not going to count that out yet. Cleansing Ray. is destroy target vampire, destroy target enchantment. It's not horrible, it's a form of removal. Sphinx's Decree, each opponent can cast instants or sorcery spells. Now, that's good, but I think I'm going to take it out, and we'll leave that in as a sideboard card. Okay, now I really like this one, Tilonali's Crown. So when it enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to the enchanted creature, but then the enchanted creature gets +3/+0 and has trample. So this is going to allow us to pump one of our dinosaurs up pretty good. So I like that one. Buccaneer's Bravado. Now we don't have very many pirates either, so I'm not going to really even consider the pirate part. But target creature gets +1/+1 and gains first strike till end of turn. That's actually okay. It's along the same lines as this, but it guarantees the first strike instead of just giving us that. So these, I would say, maybe are kind of along the same lines. Okay. Baffling End is one I think is almost a must include for us. When Baffling End enters the battlefield, you can exile a target creature an opponent controls with converted mana cost 3 or less. When it leaves the battlefield, they get a 3/3 green dinosaur. So, like, basically, get rid of their a 3 mana creature, and then they get a generic 3/3. Well, not generic, a 3/3 dinosaur with trample if they can get rid of this. So, not the end of the world, but it's a way of getting rid of a creature, for us, and I think that's pretty good. Now, Bombard is 3 mana, deals 4 damage to a target creature. It's okay. Squire's Devotion. Creature gets +1/+1, has lifelink. I really like this card. Even though it's not removal, a pump spell that gives lifelink, especially if we put on a trampler, it makes it so that the person's not going to want to block the trampler, especially if we can pump it up. But then we also get another creature off of it, and we also get a lifelink. So that lifelink could save our butts, especially if we can put it on one of our bigger creatures. So I like that a lot. Divine Verdict, destroy target attacking or blocking creature. That's pretty decent. And destroy target attacking creature, draw a card. So these are all forms of removal, which means that we got a ton of it, which is great. Now the problem is that we have to decide which ones to keep and which ones not to. So I've only taken out 1 card, so I still have to take basically how many? I need 8, so there's 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I need to take away 4 more cards here. So what I would say is Bombard is pretty good to deal 4 damage to a target creature, but it costs 3 mana. I still think it's okay. Destroy attacking creature and draw a card is pretty good. Yeah, they're just all good. I'd say Cleansing Ray might go into the sideboard, mainly because it's kind of narrow. It only affects vampires or enchantments, and who knows if we're even going to face those. It's really my only form of enchantment removal, but we're coming in pretty aggressive, so it's a good chance that we might not need this. So I'm going to put it into sideboard. Okay, Mutiny I really like. Buccaneer's Bravado, I think, to get +1/+1 and first strike is pretty good, especially because a lot of our vampires have or not vampires, a lot of our dinosaurs, if we look here, are things like this. They're 3/2s, so they're good, 3/3, 2/2, 5/4s. But we have things like this, 1/2, 1/2, 3/3, things that can get killed fairly easily, right? There are a lot of things that have 2 or 3 toughness. So I'm thinking a way to pump them and give them first strike is probably pretty good. My curve is not that high, so maybe get rid of the Vampire Zeals. We got to get rid of something. Okay, so maybe 2 Buccaneer's Bravado, and then in sideboard, if we found that that's too expensive or something like that, we could always put in Vampire Zeal again. Okay, so that brings us down to 9 cards. So we got to get rid of 1, or we could just go with 25 cards and skimp on lands. I really don't want to do that if I can avoid it, mainly because if you get land screwed, it's going to just suck. So I'd prefer not to try not to do that. I don't know. That's a tough one. I would say maybe Bombard, right? Just find a way to, or I don't know, maybe this one, Divine Verdict, destroy attacking, target attacking or blocking creature, right? Because Bombard can just deal 4 damage to a creature, which could destroy it anyways. It's a little bit cheaper, so maybe take something away from the top of the curve, right? And there's our 8 cards. Okay, so yeah, I would say let's go with that. So we are back, and this is what pretty much what our 24 cards looks like. Now the next thing we're going to do is try and fix our lands, and the easy way to fix lands is just to basically count the number of mana symbols and find out what the ratio of mana to land is that you need. Now I did happen to open an Evolving Wilds, so that's going to be pretty nice. Also, I also have an Arch of Orazca, which might be a nice one to throw in there as well, right? Now, Arch of Orazca is going to hurt a little bit, mainly because we have a lot of, well, a few things that have double white or double red, but not too much, and it's just difficult to kind of pass that up. Okay, so Arch of Orazca produces colorless, but basically if you have a City's Blessing, you can draw a card and you can pay 5 mana and draw a card. So later on in the game, if we got nothing going on, and like we can use that to get a little bit of card draw. So I think that's okay. Evolving Wilds will help to thin our deck and help us to fix our mana if we need it later. You know, and early game, everything's just 1 and 2 mana, so I think we're fairly okay with those 2 choices. So that means I need 20, so I have 24 and 24 cards. I'm doing a 40 card deck, so I need 16 lands total. There's already 2 there, so that means I need 14 more lands. All right, so we're going to count mana symbols. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16 red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 to 16, meaning that we want to have lean a little bit heavier on red. So it's almost 50-50. So what I would say is, of the remaining 14, we probably choose like maybe 8 mountains and 6. So 8 mountains, 6 plains, and then that's pretty much what we're gonna need to finish off the deck. So anyways, that's it for my first draft pick, or for my first sealed there. I'm going to do another one, so stay tuned. I'll do another one with another set, and we'll see how it might differ depending on what you get. If you disagree with my choices, like, put it in the comments, like, you know, maybe some of the other removal was better, or maybe I could have gone with the black-white deck. I was like, both I think are potentials. I just think that red-white is going to be a little more aggressive. But yeah, let me know in the comments like what you think of my choices, and be kind, of course. But anyways, yeah, I look forward to hearing from you guys. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
To join an amazing Magic the Gathering community, check out kitchentablemtg.com.